We are witnessing the most terrifying thing about the Anaheim Ducks after coming off two huge wins this weekend and securing their spot atop of the Pacific with rookies standing out and veterans chipping in. Everything the Anaheim Ducks are doing is putting the NHL on notice on exactly why they should be terrified of the future and present of this team. We're going to break down everything you need to know with a player on pace to being the highest scoring Swedish player of all time and a rookie turning heads. You're not going to want to miss this episode. So, Darius, let's just dive straight into this today, where we know the Anaheim Ducks pick up their 7th straight victory, 9th in their last 10 games. The hottest team in the NHL is not slowing down. They're taking the top of the Pacific, only 2 points with a game in hand on the Colorado Avalanche for the top in the NHL. Darius, before we get into these stats, what is your thoughts on this Anaheim Ducks team that is not slowing down?
Well, who could have predicted this? We knew that they were going to add more scoring to the lineup. So we knew that they were going to get more scoring. We know that the goaltending is there. And now they've solidified their defense as well. And obviously, Jacob Trouba is having a great year. We'll get to him specifically in a second. And it's also a contract year. Let's keep that in mind. And, players like to play very well in their contract years. But they're doing this without a lot of regulars in the lineup as well. But a lot of the young guys have come to play. And I think a lot of the credit has to go to the coaching staff as well. I do. And we'll get to that specifically in a second, too. But I want to focus on a few guys in particular very quickly. I mean, Leo Carlsson looks like he's going to be an absolute stud in the league. And he's absolutely ripping it up right now. So he's been a big part of this. You look at Gauthier. I mean, that was a phenomenal trade from the Philadelphia Flyers. Of course, they were kind of pinned into a corner there, but the Ducks took advantage of that. And now they have one of their leading scorers. Beckett Sennecke has been awesome. I had the opportunity to watch him live in the OHL multiple times. And I knew he was way too good for that league. He's another victim of, the fact that you can't go up to the AHL at the age that he was. So he's showing what he can do. He's another physical force as well. That's the other thing. I think that a lot of their younger players, Mark, are actually more physical than people are letting on and actually talking about right now. So everything's coming together for them. They're still missing a couple key pieces. And I think a big player that I want to bring up now, because I don't know how much we're going to get into it, is Chris Kreider. He's offered a lot of scoring, a lot of net front scoring as well, because he's one of the best in the league at doing that. And he's been unbelievable as well. So he was a really good pickup for this Ducks team as well.
And I think the big thing with the Ducks team, it's not just one player taking over. Listen, we know Leo Carlsson has been one of the top talents in the NHL, and we're going to touch on him. But going into the depth of this team, top prospects coming through, Beckett Sennecke is tied right now with Matthew Schaefer, the first overall pick. 4 points for rookies. This kid has been on fire. And like you said, coming through in the juniors, he was dominant. 36 goals and 86 points with the Oshawa Generals in 56 games. Darius, looking at Sennecke, what he's doing at this age in his first year, he's making a case to be a legitimate Calder vote this year. We can see he's tied in second place right now. We know Demidov and Schaefer are top talents as well, but Sennecke is making a name for himself, just showing how terrifying not only is the talent on this roster with the veterans, but the young players coming through. And he has a great quote on Coach Q: you've got a lot of talent in their group, and now you see with the new world-class coaching coming in, it's showing. What is your thoughts on this kid going through his first 15 games in the NHL, and do you see him being a runner for this Calder trophy?
Yeah, he's going to stick around in that race, I think, for a long time. This is a really good player that everyone knew his skill set was going to translate to the NHL level as soon as he was physically able to play at the NHL level because of age, first of all, and, stature as well. He needed to get a little bit bigger, which he did, and he's ready to go now. He's making big plays. He's playing physical as well. He's strong on his stick, on the puck, all of these things, and he has that knack for scoring, right? Like, he can put up points, whether it's goal scoring specifically or just putting up points in general. So I think that he's going to stick around in that race for a long time. He's going to be a really good player. I think he's finally arrived. And what he's saying about the coaching staff, I think is actually true as well, because if you think of, Joel Quenneville, for example, specifically, when he came in with the Chicago Blackhawks and those young players that he had, eventually building them up into a perennial Stanley Cup winner 3 times in 6 years. The Ducks are kind of on that same, upswing right now with how young some of their, top players are, but they're still surrounded by pretty good veteran players and presence, right? So I think that, if you're thinking of the captain, like a veteran guy like Gudis, who's not even in the lineup right now. And then, like I mentioned, Chris Kreider, you have Jacob Trouba, like a couple of these guys have been to an Eastern Conference final recently. So they have that experience that they're bringing to the table, but you have a really good core of younger players. We haven't even mentioned Mason McTavish, who is another really, really good center on this team. So I think that it's just the perfect mix at the perfect time right now. Bringing in this new coach, he knows what he's doing in terms of working with younger talent that then can become Stanley Cup caliber talent and teams. So it's very interesting, and they're rocking and rolling right now.
And I think the big thing is looking at the team, we know the biggest name around this team is Carlsson, the 10 goals, 25 points in 15 games. What we're seeing out of the young kid, 20 years old, he can't even legally buy a drink in Anaheim at the moment. What this kid is doing for this franchise and for himself is absolutely insane. We can see Nathan MacKinnon did take the lead, but 25 points, tied with Connor Bedard in the race to have the most points in the NHL. What we're seeing out of the young Swede as he wants to push to be the 1C on Team Sweden going into the Olympics. I mean, the craziest stat we've seen around this team. The most points from a Swedish player in a season. Leo Carlsson's current pace, 137 points. You can see some great names behind him. And Darius, looking at Carlsson, listen, he might slow down a tiny bit. We haven't seen it yet. But do you think this is all building up for him to maybe even try to steal that 1C spot in the Swedish Olympics?
Definitely. I think that, a big reason why he's playing so well is, of course, you have the Olympics in the back of your head. You want to perform well for your team, but make no mistake about it, a lot of these guys want to make the teams. You can see it around the league. There's so many players that are playing much better than we're even used to, and they're trying to make their Olympic teams, right? And this, outside of the Ducks, by the way, looking at this list is unbelievable. Like, you can see this new era is coming in, but at the same time, you got guys like Nylander, you got guys like Jack Eichel, right? And then you have guys like Sidney Crosby that are still, in the mix as well. So it's unbelievable what we're watching this year in terms of point production, especially from the younger guys. Macklin Celebrini, Connor Bedard looks like they've arrived, and obviously Leo Carlsson as well. And if he keeps this current pace, which, full disclosure, I don't think he will, but I'm not saying he's going to, fall off a cliff for anything like that either. That this is super impressive. Even if he finishes with 100 points, Mark, I mean, that is super impressive. And I think that he's well on his way to doing that. So he's had a great start to this season. We're well into the season now at this point. This is not just like, oh, he started the season with a hot 2 weeks or a hot month or anything like that. No, we're well into it now. We're almost at 20 games played for certain teams. So he's making a really good impression on the rest of the league. First of all, on the Swedish committee, who is picking the team. He's been unbelievable so far this season, and he does everything. It's a mix of everything. He's a big player too. Like, if this Ducks team gets into the playoffs this year, which, listen, we're midway through November at this point, it looks like they're probably going to. They're first in the Pacific, even if they dip a little bit. If they get into the playoffs this year, they have the right mix of things to really upset, I think, a top team.
And I think the biggest thing with the Ducks team, we're seeing the consistency out of the forwards, the veterans, the prospects, the coaching, the goaltending. Well, Mrazek, maybe not so much, but still being 3-0. This is a team that's on a hot streak, dears. I mean, looking at it right now, coming off wins against New Jersey, the back-to-back Stanley Cup champions and the Florida Panthers, the Dallas Stars, the Vegas Golden Knights, and then taking the belt to the Winnipeg Jets. This is a team that is really trending in the right direction. Also, I just want to give a huge shout out to Trouba for the OT winner versus Vegas as well. I mean, Darius, quickly, what is your thoughts on the resurgence of Trouba and Kreider on this Ducks team?
Yeah, we knew that they had it in them, right? And I don't know, I don't think it's a change of scenery, anything like that. Like, the New York Rangers needed to get off of both of these players' contracts with where they're going as a team. But I think the Ducks, with their salary cap structure and how many guys they still have on ELCs, this made perfect sense. Jacob Trouba is a guy who plays physical. He has a mean streak. You need that type of stuff, and you need it to rub off on some of the younger players as well. So he brings that to the table. He's still relatively young. I mean, he's only 31 years old. He has that playoff experience. He's been to multiple, Eastern Conference finals in his career. Same with Chris Kreider. Exact same thing goes for him. And he's one of the best net front presence, which you have a lot of guys here with a lot of skill that like to do the basic stuff. I say basic stuff, but they can put the puck in the back of the net, but do they go to the dirty areas? Chris Kreider likes to do that, and he's the best in the league at doing that. He can tip pucks in. He can make plays from the goal line, stuff like that. So they just have the right mix. They have a bunch of everything on this team right now, and they're missing a couple players. Like Gudis is not even playing right now. Ryan Strom's not even in the mix. So they're missing a couple guys still, and they're still playing to this level, beating, like you said, a lot of really good teams, like top tier teams. I know Florida is kind of at the bottom right now, but of course, most of the players are still there. But New Jersey is a top team in the league this year, right? Dallas is a top team in the league this year. Vegas near the top. Winnipeg is expected to be good, right? They're beating all of these really, really good teams. So I think that's a good sign moving forward.
But I mean, Ducks fans, what is your thoughts on this team? You're seeing an emergence of every bit of talent on this team stepping out. Every line. This is not with players like you said, Strome, Gudas, Granlund. These guys haven't stepped in yet, and we're still seeing such a dominant force on this roster. But Ducks fans, let us know how you feel about this team down in the comments. We love reading through and we love doing this content as well. So leave your thoughts down below. While you're down there, leave a like, subscribe, share this with your friends. We'll be back in another episode to keep your eye for that. But I've been your host, Mark, with my co-host, Darius, and take care.